How fast can you go in the slowest Pokemon game of all time? Today, we're going to find out because we have Diamond and Pearl is a strange speedrun by PulseFX, which thank you so much, PulseFX, for allowing me to react to your videos. I really appreciate that. Always hit the like button and please go and check out his channel. Links in the description.
I probably
Here we
won't
go.
be the first or last person to tell you that the original Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are pretty terrible games. But
Whoa, that's a big thing to just be throwing out. That terrible games. I don't know about terrible. That's a big words. I'm more of a fence sitter when it comes to the Diamond and Pearl hatred and love. I'm a bit of a centrist in this one. Like, yeah, I mean, it's slow and doesn't really have all the features that it should have, and it doesn't have as good of a UI. Like Platinum's UI is just so much better. It just looks way better. And yeah, you don't get the cool Giratina form, and you don't get the distortion world. And what was I saying? Oh, Diamond and Pearl. Right, Diamond and Pearl. They're fine. They're okay. The beta test. Although I guess you could say you shouldn't release a beta test as a full release, and also two of them. Yeah, all right, fine. They're pretty bad, but I love Sinnoh.
when hearing about why they're terrible, most people just settle for because Platinum is better in every way.
It is. It kind of is. I mean, unless you like the character designs of Diamond and Pearl more, but you know what? I like the wintry coat of Platinum. In fact, most people probably wouldn't even know that the whole vibe of the region is different. It's more like a wintry region compared to Diamond and Pearl, which is more like a summery region because you wear less clothing. You have the wintry clothing in the Diamond and Pearl, or Platinum. In Platinum, you have the wintry clothing, which I think personally is a bit of a better design.
That's their answer. And I'm not exactly here to defend against those allegations because they're all completely true, dear God. Instead, I'm
Ooh, PulseFX is I feel like PulseFX is a bit of a Diamond and Pearl hater right now.
here
Oh.
to tell you that those problems run much deeper than you might expect. And the only reason I know this is because I'm a speedrunner who has to deal with the deeper shortcomings this game has compared to Platinum.
I wonder how the difference in the speedrun times are between Platinum and Diamond and Pearl. Because obviously with speedruns, you can do a lot of things. You can do glitches and things like that. Personally, I'm more of a fan of glitchless speedruns because you get to at least see the game done from start to finish. And I also really like speedruns that are trying to speedrun to something that isn't the end of the game. They're doing something a little bit different, like pet the dog speedrun, or do a backflip speedrun, or the first person to have sex in Baldur's Gate 3 speedrun, which was that was a crazy speed. You can get that down to like a minute. You could slam. You could be laying pipe and wait. Is that the correct saying? You could be having sex within a minute of starting Baldur's Gate 3, which is insane. Anyway, what was I talking about? Actually, if you look here, yeah, the speedrun times are relatively similar. 3 hours and 36 minutes compared to 3 hours and 41 minutes. It's funnier that you can get a lower speed time on Platinum, considering you have the whole distortion world that you have to do. I think there's just additional content, though I feel like it's just because the game itself just runs faster, which enables you to go through the game at a much faster rate.
So, with all that said, why would anyone want to speedrun Pokemon Diamond and Pearl if Platinum exists?
Hold on, he just went off the map there.
Complicated.
Small changes make a big difference, according to this video.
When it comes to the most minor of differences between Pokemon games and their definitive version, it can be hard to see how those little changes affect gameplay when most of them are pretty subtle when the games are played casually.
You know, just looking at that last clip, I bet there's gonna be one person that's like, actually, I prefer Diamond and Pearl because you get a TM at the start of the game as opposed to getting a potion.
But when it comes to speedrunning, these type of tiny changes put into a definitive version can have quite a drastic effect on a speedrun route. As an example, Pokemon Sun and Moon use Poplio the entire game, while Ultra Sun and Moon use Hawlucha.
What? Okay, I'm sorry, I was expecting another starter. Hawlucha? I forgot you could even catch Hawlucha in that. What?
The reason for such a drastic
weird
change in routes is due to Ultra Moon providing you with a Hawlucha as a trade Pokemon before the first trial. This same exact
Before the first trial, wait, it's a trade Pokemon, so it doesn't pay attention to you if you're over-leveled, right? Wouldn't that become an issue?
trade technically also exists in Pokemon Sun and Moon, but you're given a Machop instead, which is nowhere near as good as Hawlucha for speedrunning. And it's very minor changes such as this that make up a solid reason to speedrun Pokemon Diamond and Pearl over Platinum. In total, there are about 5 of these positive minor differences, such as placing a TM in a different spot, a small location change for grabbing an HM, the layouts used for gyms, a couple of glitches, and finally, the Pokemon that your opponent has access to.
Hold on a second. You can't trick me, Pulse Effects. There's no Paldean Whooper in this video game. You can't get anything past my sharp eyes and quick brain. I've locked onto it once again.
The TM in question is one you can receive as soon as you enter Jubilife. And all you have to do to get it is to beat these 2 Abra trainers in the school building, and you'll get—
Oh my god, there is going to be the one guy that's like, oh no, I actually prefer Diamond and Pearl because of speedrunning so I can get my hidden power TM faster. It's hidden
the
power,
TM
right?
for hidden power.
It is. Thank you for updating me.
In Generation 4 games, both this move's base power and type are affected by Pokemon's IVs, giving you extra coverage needed to play the game faster since we can manipulate those IVs very easily. And while it is an extra TM available in both games, Platinum locks this move behind the game corner, making it not worth grabbing at all for a speedrun since slot machines are really slow.
But they are fun. Am I right, guys? Gambling! Woo! Yeah! Shouldn't be encouraging that. Yep, should not be encouraging that. Don't spend your money on gambling. Instead, spend your money on gamer subs, delicious beverages for you to consume. You can get a caffeine-free if you want instead of the caffeine variants. You can also get these wonderful gamer subs shaker cups. You don't even have to put gamer subs in this. You can put like other liquids. It'll hold them all. I've tested all the liquids. I've tested them all. Every single one of them. Anyway, if you want something to hold all of the liquids, use code Patterrz at GamerSubs. Links in the description.
But why is this TM such a big deal? Well, it actually makes Chimchar the undisputed fastest Pokemon in Diamond and Pearl. But Platinum has a bit of a starter war going on for the unanimously best Pokemon without access to that TM.
It's Empoleon. I just feel like Empoleon's going to be a big deal here.
Well, it is generally agreed upon that Piplup is the best and fastest starter for a Pokemon Platinum glitchless speedrun. Chimchar has had a stranglehold on the world record for quite a few years now due to how much more consistent using it actually is.
Oh, I see. So you have to balance consistency versus what is technically the superior version. I see. It's like, do you want the consistency of pizza from Pizza Hut, or do you want to gamble on something strange? Do you want to gamble on something like that new shop that just opened around the corner where the pizza maker is an old Italian man, except he's also blind? It could be the best pizza, but it's maybe not consistent.
And this is just pure speculation, but with hidden power taken into account, Chimchar would likely leave Piplup in the dust here too. The next minor change we need to cover is the HM location for the move Defog in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. For those unaware, Route 210 is a mandatory route filled with a ton of fog in the overworld.
Okay, it's actually shocking me that people use defog in speedruns. Like, I guess it lowers the accuracy, but I feel like you just like brute force it, and if you get lucky, you get lucky.
Which also has the effect of lowering accuracy of moves in battle by 3/5 of their normal accuracy, which essentially comes down to about a 60% chance of hitting a 100% accurate move, which is pretty—
Oh my god, wait, it goes down to 60%? Who developed this? Who typed out the fog is deep and was like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna lower some accuracy. We're gonna make it really hard to hit your opponents. Okay, let's be honest. In fog, it's not that hard to see. Like, it might be a bit hard to see, but if you're in battle, you're not gonna be struggling to see where it is. The fog's not that deep. Surely not.
Terrible to deal with, and overall worth getting rid of the fog in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Platinum, on the other hand, decided to move this HM from the easily accessible Great Marsh and place it deep within the Salacion ruins.
For some reason, who's putting hidden machines in the Salacion ruins? Someone just had the fog and was like, hey, a good place for this. So I'm gonna hide this. No one's gonna find it right in the middle of the ruins. That's gonna be a good place for it. Can't wait to confuse people on that one. Gonna be great. Who did?
If memory serves, this wastes about a minute of time saved to obtain in Platinum, making it not worth the investment and forcing us to take some pretty painful risk in the deep fog. For the third minor difference, we're coming up on the gym layouts. Gardenia, Maylene, Fantina, and Candace all have very vastly different gym layouts in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl as opposed to Platinum.
Isn't it crazy that in Diamond and Pearl, they still have the snowball puzzle? It's just a different one.
Some of these layouts force you to fight extra trainers in Diamond and Pearl, while others are either really weird, easy to solve puzzles that lead directly to the gym leader, or quite a headache to solve if most of your Gen 4 experience lies within Platinum.
Oh yeah, I know, that one sucks. I mean, to be fair, the Platinum one also sucks. I will say Veilstone Gym, just not a nice place to be in general.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, unfortunately. But what isn't a mixed bag whatsoever is the differences in glitches between Pokemon Diamond versus Platinum. The key changes here involve how collision is programmed in what's known as the Void. This is essentially an area in the game that shouldn't really exist. But when you go over a loading zone fast enough by following
I feel like so many people have written creepypastas about the voids. Oh yes, it's actually Darkrai's domain, of course.
a set pattern, you can just force it to exist through a glitch called tweaking. Given that bike speeds between Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum are very similar, and the loading zone in those cities are exactly the same, you can technically do the same glitches in both games. But because of that newly programmed Void collision in Platinum, they won't actually have the same results when doing those glitches. As an example, beating Diamond and Pearl in under an hour is super possible with only 2 badges to your name, all thanks to this particular tweak that can take us all the way to the Hall of Fame if we save and reset in very specific spots in the Void.
Hold on, what just happened? She just walked into the Void and was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm good. I'm just gonna throw down my Pokemon here. In the infinite Void, Gojo, Ryoki Tenkai, Muriokujo. Or is it like that? How do you do how do you do Gojo's domain expansion like this? Ryoki Tenkai.
Them, however, can't even make it far enough before the collision destroys that opportunity. However, I think this is actually a fantastic change for Platinum since it provides Platinum with an entirely new route for speedrunning. But where one of the wilder changes happens is in the Pokemon that trainers have going from Platinum to Diamond and Pearl.
Flint's team is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Bro is a Fire-type Elite Four member, but there's only 2 Fire-type Pokemon in Sinnoh. Whose idea was that? When they came to make Flint's team, they were like, whoa, wait a minute, guys, there's no Fire-type Pokemon in this game. How do we forget that? It's gotta be like the most popular type, surely. And they just put Rapidash and Infinite in, and they're like, yep, that'll do, Sonny, that'll do. You can't even get Magmortar until like after the game. How ridiculous is that?
I'm sure if you've been on the internet long enough, you'll know about the infamous 2 Fire Pokemon team that the
What is this? Who made this? Why did they make it? Were they sad?
Fire Elite Four member Flint has. But have you ever looked at the gym leaders and Team Galactic lineup in Diamond and Pearl? It's pretty terrible. Mostly
I forgot about BDSP. Not like the teams or what's in the game. I forgot it existed.
the early sections have you facing monstrosities such as Cascoon, Wurmpool, Bronzor. It's just not great. Even your boy Cyrus doesn't have fully evolved Pokemon when you face him in his very own Team Plasma headquarters.
But he does have a Murkrow because he's the Don.
Gym leaders are also pretty pathetic and weird.
Don't say it. None of you say it. I know what you're thinking. Just don't do it.
Most of them have very under-evolved Pokemon that don't pose much of a challenge. But then there's folks like Volkner, the electric gym leader. I'm trying to contemplate why they gave this guy an Octillery and an Ambipom.
Oh my god, I forgot about this. What about Electivire? Oh, it's in Platinum. Oh, they just made it. Oh my god, what are they doing here?
But I can't make this up. It's so weird. I truly have no idea the logic behind these battle team decisions, but it makes it feel as if the games were rushed out without full thought being put into balancing or the common gym and Elite Four tropes, such as having monotype teams throughout their party of 6.
I just don't understand. It's not even like a lack of thought, because if you were small brain, pea brain, no thinking, then you would go through it. Oh, like, electric team member. Okay, quickly, electric. All right, push it out. If you have to really think to give Volkner an Ambipom. Like, you have to sit down and be like, what really wouldn't make any sense here? What would really confuse some people? Oh, Octillery. Octillery is such a good idea. Yeah, an Ambipom. Yeah, Ambipom. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, well, no, we'll give him 4 Pokemon. I guess we have to give him some electric types too, don't we? Yeah, should probably do that. How about Raichu? Yeah, we haven't seen Raichu in a while. Electivire? No, don't put Electivire in. No, we'll save that one for the sequel.
But at the very least, this emphasis on weaker and weirder teammates does make the speedrun a bit more consistent than Platinum. And if you're looking for difficulty, Cynthia does have most of her classic team going on, but unfortunately, there's an even deeper problem with...
This is why Cynthia is so infamous in these games. It's because everyone else has dog water teams. And then you get to Cynthia, and she has like an actual team that has had some effort and thought put into it. And when I say thought, I mean thought in the making it strong way, not in the let's put artillery on the electric type team way. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, hold on, wait. An actual team? Oh no, I wasn't ready for this.
Cynthia and every single trainer thus far that you might not have known about. But before we talk about those issues, I just want to
Oh, it's the AI, isn't it?
say thanks for watching this far into the video. And if you're enjoying this enough, please consider subscribing. We're right on the cusp of 100,000 subscribers, to the point where we might actually reach it by the end of the year. So
go on, subscribe to Pulse Effects. Come on, he deserves it.
Now that we're finished talking about why you would even consider running Diamond and Pearl,
I hate this. I hate that I get so weird brained about stuff. I don't know what it is. But as soon as I hear like some music from something I think that I recognize, I have to hyper focus on it. That's Mass Effect music. I think that's the main theme from the original Mass Effect. Hold on, let me go back.
Now that we're finished talking about why you would even consider running Diamond and Pearl,
I'm sorry, it's just a hit of nostalgia. If you haven't played the original Mass Effect trilogy, buy the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. It's so cheap. You get 3 of the greatest RPGs of all time. You won't regret it. Please treat yourself. You deserve it.
We obviously have to talk about the much deeper issues of the games to understand why a lot of folks tend to avoid speedrunning it. Let's start this rough side of Diamond and Pearl with one of the biggest culprits being the
Matrix.
AI on
yeah, that was my second guess.
Every single trainer in the game. I'm not entirely sure if this was due to a time crunch or wanting to make the games easier, but
yeah, they use the AI from, it's either the wild encounter, so they always pick a random move, or it's from like the basic trainers.
But even trainers such as the champion Cynthia are programmed to go for a randomly selected move as long as that move doesn't conflict with a very special set of circumstances.
Yep, every single trainer literally closes their eyes and clicks the A button, as well as like twiddling the joystick so that something random happens.
Like trying to poison a poison type Pokemon, burn a fire type Pokemon, or status a Pokemon already going through a status ailment. I might be missing an edge case here or there with the AI, but either way, this was arguably a worse decision than the swim speed. It does, however, present the opportunity to play as risky as possible, since you could technically play
why does Spiritomb have Silverwind?
The entire game with 1 HP, as long as you can either KO your opponent before they KO you, or they have a single non-damaging move in their inventory. However, this is only one of 5 major issues with running this game that make it really awkward to even consider speedrunning, because the next one has to tie back in with the battle system. You ever wonder why folks always bring up the battle speed in Generation 4 games? Well,
oh my days,
there's a good reason for that, and it's not a very obvious one. You see, it's not just psychologically slow, because there's actually a weird hiccup of dead air that happens each time you take or receive damage. But if we mash buttons during those dead air segments, it actually causes the game to move forward a bit faster. The third
oh no, if you mash buttons, speedrunners are already at risk of carpal tunnel on a scale that nobody else is in the entire world, apart from maybe for like fighting game players. This is ridiculous. That's just mean. That's just cruel.
Out of 5 nails in the coffin for this game also happens to take place in the battle system, because Diamond and Pearl treat their battle system very differently from other Gen 4 games, but not in the good kind of different. Generally, you can force the exact same results in battle when you start up a fight at a similar time frame in other Generation 4 games. But
yes, because the RNG is based off of the frames of the game. It's a bit complicated to understand, but essentially if you are on the same frame of the game, then the same thing will happen.
Diamond and Pearl.
So if you, for example, have a save state at a certain point and you use a move, then you reload the save state. Since it's reloading that point in the game, it's going to have the same RNG. Whereas if you were to use the same move twice in a row, for example.
For some reason, advances RNG mid-battles in ways where you won't get that perfect sequence of events in a row without being extremely precise. Because of this, obtaining key features that make battles easier, such as Patterrz, are not very feasible to manipulate, whereas every other Gen 4 game gets it by just entering and exiting a battle after a very long string of precise movement. Now, while this type of manipulation can get pretty cheesy at times, I have to say I'm extremely glad they ended up changing it later on.
I just can't imagine being a person in the Pokemon world and seeing a trainer like run into a wall and look left, look right, look left, look right, start, look down, 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 start, left, right, left, right. All right, I have to battle right now so I get a disease. I have to do it now. I need the disease.
One of the other things that I'm thankful for is the gym order change in Pokemon Platinum. If you've played enough Generation 4 Pokemon games, you're probably used to this order of events. But for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, the Hearthome City Gym is placed in the 5th gym slot instead of the 3rd, even though we pass through the city extremely early on.
I think it's silly that they do this, but I do think it's funny to go up to Fantina and she's like, no, you must go away. You need to get a mod gym badge before you come here. You are, how they say, weak little bitch.
This isn't exactly the biggest deal ever, but it does mean we have less experience to earn before Wake's gym. Under normal circumstances, this would mean we'd have to face Wake with a not fully evolved Monferno. But fortunately for modern day speedruns, we have strategies to counteract this by stealing a lucky egg from a Chansey via RNG manipulation.
Wow, I was gonna say that's a 5% chance, right? But yeah, RNG manipulation will make it a lot easier to show.
It does add a somewhat rough barrier to entry when performing a speedrun. But for the final nail in the coffin, we're gonna have to dig through Pokemon Platinum's 80% glitchless speedrun route history. Throughout the past decade of speedrunning Pokemon Platinum, speedrunners have taken the glitchless run down above 4 hours to times super close to 3 hours and 30 minutes flat. Most of those runs were done with Piplup throughout the decade until someone hypothetically asked, what if we tried Chimchar instead? Well, this purely theoretical question was asked by none other than a speedrunner who goes by the username Crafted.
What if we tried Bidoof, folks? What if we tried Bidoof?
He is very well known in the community for their insane consistency, Pokemon knowledge, and for putting Chimchar back on the map as the king of Pokemon Platinum speed.
Wow, and that is a massive increase. If I'm reading those times right, it's a 43-second increase, which is ridiculous.
Runs. And all likely stemmed from a massive distaste for using Piplup as the main mon in Platinum. While Piplup's final evolution is an incredible Pokemon, Piplup and Prinplup are very sorely lacking in the move pool and power department when it comes to getting runs off the ground with how much has to go right in each battle early on. This stretch of disgusting battles stretches from Gym 1 all the way past Gym 3 without much breathing room until you finally evolve Piplup into Empoleon. And with such a massive stretch of nastiness going against Piplup, it can be extremely mentally taxing never getting a run off the ground. So with Crafted likely fed up with Piplup, he eventually invented a similar strategy to the one that speedrunners had been using in Diamond and Pearl for years, the Lucky Egg RNG manipulation. With this newfound power, Chimchar now had enough wiggle room to compete in a much more fun and consistent way for the world record. And while Piplup did snag the world record back at least once, it didn't take long for Chimchar to regain dominance throughout the past 3 years. But one thing that didn't change is the
Damn, a 4-second increase in time. That's ridiculous.
Attempts at beating the glitchless world record in Diamond and Pearl. I imagine you might be thinking, what does all this have to do with Diamond and Pearl speedrunning? And what could have actually caused the downfall of it in the long run? Well, once the invention of a Chimchar route began to be a very competitive thing in Pokemon Platinum, no one really had a good reason to go back to glitchless speedruns in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl when you could just play the better game. Why deal with messy AI, no Pokerus, or an objectively worse version of a game when
I guess the problem with messy AI when it's choosing random moves as well is that you can't really consistently judge what's going to happen next. With consistent AI that would play in a certain way, you can track what they're going to do, at least to a certain extent. If it's always random, then that's pretty bad, because randomness introduces the chance for more bad things to occur that you don't want to happen, whereas consistency and having knowledge makes you feel more secure in your speedruns.
Pokemon Platinum exists. Well, there's only really 2 reasons I could come up with. One, how fast could you beat Diamond and Pearl if you took every possible risk? While Crafted does have a solid world record on the boards, it's definitely a beatable run, especially if you really push this high risk, high reward mentality against the garbage AI.
The problem being that if you take every risk, there's every possible opportunity for it to go wrong. And for a speedrun that is over almost 4 hours long, Imagine getting 3.5 hours into your run and then just one thing goes wrong. It's 3.5 hours of your life that you've just wasted.
The final reason is because the glitch speedruns of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are really unique and cool compared to Platinum, and could easily net in more fun side categories if folks were inspired enough to invent something. Something I think would be cool is a glitch catch-em-all where you ride all over the void until you complete the entire Pokedex, or even a run that grabs all the badges with just using glitches. Truly, I think the possibilities are endless, and I think Diamond and Pearl deserves better than to be written off as an inferior version of Platinum.
It's just a different version.
At least to a degree. Like, seriously, what were they thinking with this artillery on the electric
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I do know that was a fun video. I love learning about the history of speedruns. I think it's very interesting. And if you do too, then you want to subscribe to Pulse Effects, whose link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of my face, then you can always subscribe here as well.